We've had so many amazing guests on the Retail Media Moguls podcast, including industry leaders who have come on the show to share their stories, predictions, and advice on all things retail media. So today, we're revisiting some of these evergreen episodes. Now, here's your host, Stuart Adamson.
Welcome to the Retail Media Moguls podcast. I'm your host, Stuart Adamson, founder and CEO of Platform 195. Today, we have the pleasure of welcoming Luis Pedro Martinez, the head of e-commerce for Essence MediaCom. With over 15 years of experience in the tech and online media industry, Luis is a seasoned leader known for his strategic vision and expertise in driving growth across key marketplaces like Amazon, Walmart, and beyond. His passion for mentoring young professionals and commitment to empowering diverse talent underscores his dedication to making a positive impact both personally and professionally. Join us as we delve into the world of retail media with Luis, exploring the evolving landscape of omnichannel measurement and uncovering insights that will shape the future of the industry. If I was a brand and I was working with retail, what are the measurement tools that you would recommend to me to be using in order to really see that across funnel?
Well, I mean, cloud measurement is important. It doesn't necessarily have to be Amazon Marketing Cloud, but obviously if you're using Amazon, yes, do we use that? But, there's other solutions out there like, LiveRamp or Salesforce has some solutions as well. So some way, especially with, a cookieless world that's coming and identity, I think that's super important. I think, attribution models are interesting. It's complicated though, because everybody has their take on that. But, being able to work with a good partner around that is important. But my recommendation is building blocks. It's like you have to have your retail foundations right. And what by that I mean, either have in-house experts or work with partners that basically understand retail well, that can guide you through sourcing models, the right KPIs for retail, sales velocity, just making sure that your catalog is humming, right? Like you don't have to have everything in every single marketplace, but you need to understand what to have in which marketplace and what to have if you sell directly to consumers. You need to really understand that data, the distribution channels, all of that stuff. Last mile has to be humming before you even think about advertising. Then the advertising piece, I think, ROAS is important. And obviously you always want to maximize your investment in terms of sales, but it's important also to capture new audiences, right? And to understand, how you bring new eyeballs and new people, how you get them passionate about your products. Equally important is to ensure that those people remain loyal, right? So, if you're a grocery player, right, work with those guys that have retail media networks. They understand their subscription data, their lifetime value data, repeat purchases, that kind of thing. Because all of that feeds back into the brand. And then this idea of enabling, a eloquent, connected experience for your consumers. So, you have to ensure and you have to enforce that no matter what the interaction is between, the different channels in Omnichannel, that you have the right tools to ensure that the experience is the same to the extent that can be. So if if you're looking at an Amazon store that, that presence is very similar to your .com in terms of the branding, the messaging, all of that. You don't want to have like a logo here that's, 5 years old and a new one here, that kind of thing. If you think about what I mentioned before, connected stores, those, digital displays that now you have at Tesco's, the QR codes, all of that stuff. Again, like just that reinforcement, right? And being able to measure that is super important online and offline. So having the right set of tools is super important. And most importantly, I think, because not everybody can build like an army of people to do this, is work with the right partner that not only provides the tools, but is able to interpret and even, apply the changes needed.
Today, we have the privilege of welcoming Catalina Salazar, a true influencer in the realm of retail media and advertising. With an illustrious career spanning leadership roles at renowned companies such as Dentsu, Aegis Network, and Walt, Catalina brings a wealth of experience and expertise to the table. Her track record of spearheading innovative strategies and driving business growth for global brands speaks volumes about her acumen in navigating the ever-evolving landscape of retail media within delivery apps. I'm excited to have someone of Catalina's caliber join us today to share insights and perspectives on merchant business growth strategies in this dynamic and competitive space. I'm going to come back to the macro picture, but just let's talk about the local picture, because a bit of work we did in this space a few years ago was we looked at it and realized that actually, if you live in a certain area, say you live in a commuter town, suburb town, that isn't particularly big, and there's a local bakery there, if you're searching for a delivery, ultimately the volume of searches for that individual product is always going to be low, because the very nature of a delivery app is it's local. And obviously outside of the big cities, the volume of inventory available from an ad point of view was so low. And then so I'm interested to see how you're overcoming that. And then listening to what you were saying around you're only paying if the basket is actually completed. How do you avoid sort of just running tons of advertising or very little advertising when it comes really local for free, or just not monetizing it? Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. So let me kind of take a step back to tell you a little bit of how kind of we build the product, and that kind of will help answer and kind of give a little bit of meat to the answer that I'm going to give you. So we want advertising to be really relevant. We want to enable a partner that might not even have a marketing budget, that might not even know what an impression is, to be able to, get visibility. And we want our users to be able to discover, the offers that they might not traditionally have even looked. Think about it. If you look at Google, if you search for something, you're not going to pass the first page. You read the top 3 and then you click and you're out. And what happens with organic algorithms is obviously the big kind of the ones that are doing the best, they tend to get, better ratings, better reviews, better rankings organically. And it means that smaller partners, probably new partners or small size businesses, sometimes they might not even get that visibility. And if you see what we call the city structure, you see that there's polygons or areas that are highly dense with multiple restaurants. You have your high street, you see all of the venues in the same kind of areas, right? So what we thought about is, we want this advertising to help people get discovered easily. We want to make it really relevant to the user. So if they see something, they're going to think, oh, I really like that. That makes sense to, my style. I'll give you an example. If I'm a vegan, there's no point for me to take the meat shop in the high street and put it in front of, the vegan person. It just doesn't make sense. So what we've decided is, we want advertising to be really relevant. We want advertising to be fair and drive business and drive that re-engagement. But you do need to for you to be able to do this successfully and really sell, you need to ensure that you have some basics covered. So if you're a small shop, that you have good pricing, that you have your photographs nicely taken, and that those menus are appealing. Because at the end of the day, I say that, advertising advertising in any place really is like getting that prime spot in the shopping center, getting that first place where people walk by. And I call the content and the experience, the photos, the pricing, the reviews, the promotions, kind of how do you attract that person? You get the spot, but you're not going to attract and convert if the content isn't right. So we ensure that we segment our leads for ads on those venues that, don't have the visibility, but are ready to really convert that traffic. And they have the really good content, they have the really good photos, they have the good ratings, the operational metrics are really good. So when someone sees them and they see their photos and the content and the promotions actually come in and convert. So that really helps us deliver revenue for the business, but also revenue for the partner and a really great experience for the user, because they're discovering new things that are actually really good for them, and not like a restaurant that perhaps hasn't done the job of getting up to speed with the right experience. So kind of be like taking the time to understand what makes that journey work and going after the partners that will make that effort to clean up themselves and scrub up nicely for the users we're going to bring them, and convert them through the content. So we usually tell the partner, it's good that you have first-time users promotions. It's good that you have Vault Plus, which is our membership audience promotions, because those are our most loyal users. They're like 4 times better users than traditional users. So get promotions for them. Organize your shop. We help you. We even give them photo shoots to help them set up. So it is not easy. We do have to strike a really good balance between getting someone a lot of visibility for free, but we need to ensure that that person converts. So we're working on getting that balance even better, because sadly, we're only starting and there's a lot of things we still need to do to get that better. But so far it's worked really well.
Today, we have the pleasure of welcoming Molly Gelm, a trailblazer in the world of retail media and ad sales, and with a career spanning various leadership roles across renowned companies like Dollar General, Kroger, Spins, and more. Molly brings a wealth of experience and insights to the table. Her journey in cultivating mutually beneficial partnerships and designing go-to-market strategies has not only shaped her career, but has also played a pivotal role in driving results for the brands she's worked with. So effectively, they're taking your audiences then and then buying those through the trade desk across programmatic channels. And which of those channels are performing best for your customers? If it's difficult to reach them anyway because they're in rural areas, how are you using programmatic channels in order to create that value for advertisers?
So historically, what we found is that mobile display has worked really well for our customers. They may not have, a desktop or a laptop computer in their homes, but they have mobile phones, and that's where they're consuming a lot of their digital content. So that's been something in our own strategy that works really well. The beauty of a self-service offering is that we often don't see how those plans come together for national plans. The advertiser has the ability to pair the inventory that they believe in with our audiences and test and learn. But what we hear as we are collectively thinking through strategy is that video and CTV are really highly performant and effective for our partners.
And given the importance of this data-driven insights in today's marketing landscape, how do you approach both the targeting bit, which we've discussed, but how do you personalize that targeting? How are you doing the personalization element?
Sky's the limit for targeting in the world of retail data. So really, any discernible purchase behavior, like anything you might find on a receipt and more, can be fodder for the creation of a cohort or an audience. And so that's what keeps me interested and excited in this industry, is just that ability to identify customers based off of their purchase behavior and then tie them into whatever the objective of the campaign might be. If we have an objective of, mitigating leakage, growing market share, or growing category share, if we want to help increase trade up, we have the ability to isolate those specific customers and deliver them a message that hopefully increases their consideration of that action. And then we also have the ability to do creative testing within our campaigns to see which resonates more and to optimize into the creative that's working better. And so that's really, there's so much promise in retail media for the personalization element here. And we've had great success in being able to optimize to the messaging that resonates best.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said on the creative side at the moment. I think there's a lot of same stuff going on because it's all been so media driven. And actually, one thing that we've always talked about at Platform 195 and, is where's the differentiator? And that starts to really sit with creative. And it's obviously always been the most important part of the advertising. It's sort of gone by the wayside due to data and targeting. And now I think it's going to come back roaring just because of the sheer need to stand out and differentiate, which, to be fair, has always been there. But with retail media, has been the media side has overtaken. So it's really interesting to hear about that, Jen.
Yeah, and it's been fun to see. I think it's taken time as we think about the evolution of retail media. It's taken time for shopper marketers to really understand, shopper marketers and sales teams to really understand the power and the nuance of retail media as a lever to drive specific business outcomes. I would say we have evolved pretty significantly in that journey. There's probably still room to go, but to the point where now that type of just really thinking through the insights supporting your audience strategy and the why, and then KPIs that are the luxury of retail media, like iROAS, are now table stakes in shopper marketing plans where they were unknown, and we were really working hard to explain them even just a few years prior. So that has been exciting to observe in the industry as pertains to the precision targeting aspect here. And then it's been fun to see this second wave of national teams now understanding and starting to get interested in the power of retail data for their plans.
Today, we have the privilege of welcoming Jason Riverola, a seasoned leader in the realm of marketing analytics and retail media strategy. With a career spanning roles at global giants like Adidas and Hudson's Bay, Jason brings a wealth of experience and insight to the table. From pioneering analytic applications to building out all the tech for Hudson's Bay Retail Media Division, Jason has played a pivotal role in shaping the landscape of retail media on both a global and localized scale, both brand side and sell side. His track record of success in optimizing retail media campaigns and leveraging technology to enhance performance speaks volumes about his expertise in this ever-evolving field.
Which one of our assets could we repackage and leverage with our the brands and the vendors we work with? So we were looking at digital out of home. We were looking at signage in stores. We were looking at also like traffic measurement components that happen in stores, because we actually do have like traffic counters within our malls and be able to leverage that. At this time, because we operate in such a large country, we mainly focus on our digital space, where we have set up ourselves with self-serve platforms. We have set up ourselves with the ability to leverage our Google and our social media instances to repurpose them for our retail media network. So that's where our primary focus is. But obviously we're like anything else, we're looking to how do we extend that into the digital signage in store and be able to leverage that for our retail media network.
Brilliant. Okay, I think that's very, very clear. So how has your sort of attitude changed, having built it from the sales side, and now sort of using other retail media networks that you're buying across? Are you treating those retail media networks differently now that you've been on the sort of retail media sales side?
So it's interesting, right? Working on I'll always like hint back to a project that I did when I was working at Adidas, the global side, where we were one of the first organizations that got to work with Zalando in mentioning out their sponsor products. And I recall even coming across and eventually coming to a project where we were able to say, hey, we have X million dollars or X million euros to run this campaign during this period of time, and it was quite a large amount. And they came back to us and said we weren't able to spend it all. And to me, I was appalled. Let's just say it was 20 million. I'm like, how were we not able to spend 20? We're giving you marketing dollars, like every single agency at that and any other platform would have gone crazy for that and spent it within a day if they needed to. And they said, no, unfortunately, your products just weren't where we needed them to be in order to sell them. There was higher competition that was willing to pay the same rate, and there was a lower. So from that perspective, it was just like, this is amazing. We now, as an organization, not only as a buyer, but we now have to, update our actual assets, our content, our creative, our copy to make sure that when we get that traffic, we're maximizing this. And we're doing this for essentially Zalando's benefit because it's their product that they're selling, although we're the brand that's, in collaboration with them. So using that knowledge and being able to do it here, knowing that it is a cycle, right? And it's not a one way, right? The better we make that platform, the better the consumer feels and more confident the consumer feels with doing their shopping on that platform. So the better we continuously have that loop, it's not just about costing money and just showing up the ads, it's about making the experience great. And that's what I was able to really pull from Zalando and try to incorporate here. It's about making sure that we have the right brands for the right consumer. We're not just selling it to whoever's ever willing to pay the best, but we have the right product showing up at the right time. And also that has the right content, copy, and assets to make sure that it's gonna complete that circle there. And then it hopefully keeps that sale, and it's not we sold you something that didn't look like the imagery or didn't make sense and whatnot, and there's a higher return. So leveraging that information, really when we work with our vendors, we try to share that with them, let them know that we're making sure that when you show up, you're showing up for the right consumer. That's hopefully going to give you that better ROAS, that better return, because we're not just showing you to everybody. We're showing you to that right tailored consumer. Now, in addition to that, I not only manage the retail media operation side, but also the corporate side, right? And in some organizations, you have that separate. We even had it separate here for a while. But it's the ability to leverage your retail media dollars as well as your organizational dollars really allows you to boost, one, the organization's impact that we do across the country and the visibility we're able to garnish through that budget. But we're able also to then have a stronger impact with the vendors we work with. So if you are one of the vendors that we end up saying, we're going to run this campaign with, and you're going to be at the front of it, you're traditionally getting more media dollars for the media dollars you're inputting. And what I mean by that, you're getting more impressions, you're getting more conversions, you're getting the best of both sides, right? So it's a partnership that we believe works both ways, and we're consistently, taking, I wouldn't say shots, but we're both each taking an opportunity to help each other out. So we make sure that everyone grows in this.
I love that fostering of excellence in terms of content and product and all those things through creating a sort of competitive environment within the vendors. That's fantastic, isn't it? So you can't actually spend this money unless you give us the best content and the best product and those things.
And at the end of the day, the consumer wins, right? So that's the focus.
Today, we're delighted to welcome Greg Deacon, Vice President of Retail Media Groups and Business Development at Snappy Shopper. Greg brings a wealth of experience at the intersection of retail media and quick commerce, having spearheaded innovative strategies that have significantly impacted the retail, convenience and hospitality sectors. With a career spanning leadership roles at Snappy Shopper, GISP and prominent media organisations, Greg has consistently driven growth through strategic audience partnerships and pioneering retail media initiatives. The transparency builds the trust that you need in order to keep that business growing year on year. Where's the when you're talking to your partners, is it generally going brand direct, or are you going via the media agencies generally? Given that you're not the actual retailer, you're more of a conduit. How are you finding that approach to market?
Yeah, it's a really great question. We've been doing this now for coming up to a couple of years, and everything we've done to date is direct. So we've built the relationships with the brands, and we've gone in at various different levels of entry. What we've found is that really we are operating with the trade marketing investments. So giving that alternative way of driving product from shed, wholesale to store, which obviously benefits the brands. And then how do we get their product out to consumer delivered, which is all picked and packed from the store. And that fundamentally is trade media marketing monies. And that's been direct. What we do recognize in some instances where it depends on the structure of the brands, that we can go into a quick commerce, e-com, shopper marketing, brand media, but it's very few and far between. So I think that's still forming within the brand world. And that could change then our direction of travel in terms of how we're perceived and how we're seen. And I think it goes back to that data. We can do so many different things. It just depends where the budget holders sit within that organization. But what we've done a very conscious job of is actually, let's challenge the norm of how we can sell within this space. Let's challenge the norm of how we can sell more product out of a physical box, even though we're a digital entity that's all the product is coming from that store off the shelf. And I think that gives real opportunity then to the brands who have their convenience grocery channel strategies that's inclusive of wholesale and sort of sales out from stores. And I think we play a really complementary supporting role in that. Where I do see us moving forward, and I do recognize that we perhaps lose a lot of revenue opportunity with the trade desk and others, that we've not got that self-serve media capability with the agencies. But what we've been very conscious of is to start this and build trust, build equity, build confidence, is basically building it from the ground up. Let's get into the brands, drive that brand message, drive that proposition that we're providing, which gives then various stakeholders within that community the confidence and the trust they need. And then we'll start adding layers. And I think at the right time, then we'll start to explore going beyond that direct approach. But I certainly don't want to lose it, because I think it's a much greater way of doing business. It's not a transaction, it's a partnership. You're starting to get into really deep level joint business plans in this sector, in this channel, which I think, again, would always add advantages to our retailers and then on to our consumers. I don't want to be seen as just a transaction by the brands. So there's a balance to be played there, Stuart. I think we're at the moment are doing a good job. But of course, there are more revenues to be obtained and opportunities to serve our customers in different ways, off-site or on-site. And I think that's interesting for us as we move forward.
Yeah, I think you got that right. I think, ultimately there is a trade marketing budget there. They want to do stuff that's going to help drive sales and, get that awareness of the product up within that retail environment. And actually there's no route to market really for when you've got lots and lots of these smaller convenience stores, right? So actually you get an aggregator like you come in. It's a great way for them to carve off some budget and say, well, let's test this and try this. And this is a good way to get into that sort of grassroots stuff, all the corner shops and the smaller convenience stores. It's low hanging fruit for you. It's actually easier in many ways than going to the media agencies and trying to knock on doors. But that will come as you grow, I guess.
Exactly. As we scale up, it will start to differentiate somewhat. But I think in the scaling up of what we're offering, and then unifying that fragmented universe of different fascia, symbol fascia in that convenience channel, actually for anyone in that channel who's a convenience lead, a retail lead, actually this is a great way for me to test and learn, as you say, a great way to understand my audience better. Actually, it's really interesting for us talking to a lot of brands around pack formulation, who's buying what, because actually a lot of convenience is on the go. So it's smaller, bottle sizes like 500 ml bottles, 330 ml cans in store because it's consumed now, right? And people can't typically carry out a lot of product. So they're buying for lunch, they're buying for breakfast, they're buying after school. Whereas in the Snappy world, we have a slightly different alternative customer, still a convenience customer, mum, 30 plus, buying on behalf of the family. But what you're seeing is bigger pack formulation. So it's actually complementing some of their strategies from an in-store environment, which is saying, well, actually, I'm selling more of 1.5 litres. I'm selling more of multi-packs, bigger multi-packs of crisps. And that's because it's being delivered. So it's much more convenient. So when you then start to play that out, and that's why I love the fact that we can then start getting a bit gritty, a bit deeper into those sort of joint business plan discussions around, well, actually, what could Snappy offer us that's alternative to our current strategy, but complements it, that actually gives us a much broader reach in our portfolio to drive sales in, sales out. And actually for the retailers then, dare I say it, some of these things that sit on shelf, not gather dust, but a slower rate of sale, we can help accelerate that. And that then supports retailers' margin, it supports brands. And I think that's a really interesting opportunity for a lot of brand owners out there. When they're thinking about the channel, it's not just about consuming now, it can be consumed later, much more likened to a grocery shop.
Thank you so much, Greg. I mean, that's just been an amazing podcast, actually. Been really great to get your insight and insight into Snappy Shopper and the wider quick commerce retail media bit. Always great to see a media guy as well who's bridged into the retail media space. Only the best do that, obviously. But yeah, really great, Greg. Thanks for coming on. And as I always say, please do come on again. We'd love to see how you've got on in this incredible journey you're on. Please do come back on in a year or so.
Yeah, I'd love to, and hopefully a lot more's happened in that time that we can shout about. So and reflect on from this call. So this podcast. So yeah, no, thank you for having me. It's been a joy, and hope to be back again soon.
Great. Thanks, Greg. The Retail Media Moguls podcast is brought to you by Platform 195. To learn more about Platform 195 and how to connect retail media with intelligent marketing to accelerate growth, visit platform195.com. And then make sure to search for Retail Media Moguls in Apple Podcasts, Spotify and Google Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Make sure to click subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. And on behalf of the team here at Platform 195, thanks for listening.